You're very welcome back to Rubbin Minds, and I have here with me a former friend of mine. We used to be good friends until he hammered or something. I don't know what happened. How far, Chude? How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Chude Jideonwo, founder of the Future Awards Africa. Thanks for being here
Current
today.
and future friend of Africa.
Sometimes.
Constantly. Anyway.
We'll see about that. We'll settle our matter later.
We'll settle it.
The Future Awards Africa is back, 2015.
Yeah.
Africa Needs use the hashtag, and that's the campaign that's running. What's happened up until this point now?
So we kicked off a 100-city tour in October, I think. In October.
100 cities?
Yes. So we want to reach 100 cities across Africa with an emphasis on southern, east, and west and central Africa. Basically, what we want to do is we're celebrating 10 years of the awards.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's been a crucial 10 years. We've empowered entrepreneurs, we transformed society, so to speak. But then it's like, okay, so the next 10 years, what do we need to do? And we think that next 10 years, there's so much to celebrate, but there's so much more work to be done.
Yes.
And so what we're trying to do is to remind ourselves, remind our publics, our audiences, and remind, our partners of the immensity, if there's such a word, of the work that we meant. So we're really going down and capturing these stories, these challenges from across Africa.
Before we get back to all of the city touring and, of course, what the Future Awards will be doing this year, one of the cities I hear you went to was Chibok.
Yeah.
The now world famous or infamous Chibok.
For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. What did you go there to do?
So, personally, I've wanted to go to Chibok for a long time. Basically because, the trajectory of my work means that when I see a challenge, personally, I don't want to just talk about it. I want to be able to have the credibility of experiencing it myself so that I see what problems, off Nigeria, to all of these things. But in the future, what's thought, well, if we're going to capture the challenges that young people are facing, there is no more dramatic, more powerful symbol than Chibok. And we thought there's no more powerful symbol than to go to Chibok ourselves. So it's a different matter to say, oh, guys, come and do this. We need to rebuild the society. We need to get the children back in school. We need to support the safe schools. We need to make sure that this dangerous equipment lying all over the place are removed.
Images of you guys?
That's images of us in Chibok and in Mubi and in all this place. So we thought, instead of just saying it, let's see for ourselves. Let's be sure that we're not exaggerating. Let's be sure we're not speaking out of turn. Let's be sure we are putting it in perspective. Let's be sure we're not telling a single story. Let's be sure we know what we are talking about. And we thought, let's go to Chibok and let's find out for ourselves. So it's not just Chibok. We went to IDPs in Kano, we went to IDPs in Abuja, we went to Mubi, because remember, there are so many stories from Mubi. Yes. Schools attacked, young boys taken, we went to Yola, we went to the IDP camp that was bombed 3 months ago, met with the NEMA officials, went to Chibok. So Chibok was the end of of phase 1 of the tour. I just wanted to see,
What did you see in Chibok, especially with the girls? Because it's the one story that a lot of people probably followed the most last year, even with all of the insurgency that was going on. Yeah. And there were some controversies as well with the fact that, nobody was kidnapped and it's just a hoax. What did you find with regards to that in particular?
First and foremost, color is confirmation bias, but I didn't go there to find out if girls were kidnapped or not, because I've already met parents of these girls at rallies. Yeah. I went there with the assumption that that's already a settled matter. I went there to find out what the after effects of that tragedy would be. Yeah. Now, what is most striking in our trip, and me and Bukola and Shane, who also incidentally produces this show, found out was how. So the world is talking about Chibok, but inevitably, people in Chibok have had to move on.
So life has gone on.
Yes, in some deformed way, life has had to go on. And so there's a certain weariness even of talking. I'm not from Chibok, so I'm very careful but there is a certain, I sense in this very short time capsule, there is a sense of, okay, so this has happened, and, we are living, and what we need now is help to live, But there is a sense of there's a pause. The existence is certainly not normal. The existence is certainly not ideal. That's so. First, so I'm talking about the journey. It took us 4 hours. It's supposed to be a 1 hour 30 minutes journey because we're going through roadblocks and all of that. The roads are bad. It's almost. So I now began to understand when people flee to Cameroon. So sometimes you are not as much Nigerian as you are on this island by yourself. So there's all of these realities. They're now compounded by this sense of insecurity because there are soldiers in front who went to go to Sambisa. Soldiers refused to allow us even just not going, but just at least have a sense of that place. So there is almost a garrison kind of mentality across this place. Then there is a forgottenness. So apart from this symbolic placement of soldiers, you know, and those I met the commandant, the deputy commandant. These are amazing guys doing incredible work, but the community itself is in a state of disrepair, even in terms of being.
In spite of all the attention.
In spite of all the attention, that was the most shocking. So the most shocking thing for me is how these people have had to move on with a more deplorable existence than when this happened, despite all of this attention. I was shocked. So I thought our NGO partner, CEPI, doing incredible work in those states, say they've been bringing truckloads of material to the people in the IDP camp. So I actually thought when Seun was telling me we should buy more things, that it was moot. That I'm sure these people are being taken care of. I'm sure that this is just a fact-finding mission. But Seun said, no, I'm almost certain. And so to find out that these people actually needed these relief materials as intensely as 1 year ago was incredibly shocking to me.
It's nice that you did this, and you know it's always nice to hear the stories from the ground there, and the IDPs as well are something that a lot of people have been sort of confused about what's really happening. Sometimes we hear that things are okay. Once in a while, you see images about them being displaced in the IDP camps themselves.
That was something I found out.
You know, and it's a little confusing. What sort of, did you see any government sort of presence? What's really happening with them right now?
No, I know. I'm also grateful that I went here after President Jonathan had gone, because, you know, these girls were missing when he was gone. So it would have looked like this grand conspiracy against the former president. But look, these communities are essentially forgotten. Now, I'm trying to be careful because they are forgotten. So you expect that based on the attention they have received, even the sense of security. So yes, they are So the one government presence that exists is soldiers with sandbags on the road. So if that's okay for you as government presence, that's fine. I'm having conversations with the guys, the soldiers in Chibok, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the conversations, there were some things that I can't say because they're easy to trace people. But it is not a sophisticated engagement, to put it mildly. It's not a well thought out. It's not an engagement that makes citizens feel like their government really is paying attention to the depths that they are falling into. The villages are falling into disrepair. It's even a travesty to call them cities. Mubi has not accepted. So let me tell you, this is it. Armored tanks. So there's a picture, I hope they show, of a bridge that collapsed. Yes. That bridge is going to collapse, is going to crash anytime soon. That's inevitably is going to crash. This is the bridge that connects Yola to Mubi and to Chibok, to all these places that our government officials use helicopters to come to, that we had to use roads.
That's the bridge.
That's the bridge. So we went around the bridge on top and under. Now this is public policy 101, like Obiagile Ezekwesili will say. Why is that bridge still like that? Since it was bombed, then the car that Boko Haram used to bomb that bridge is still there. Wow. I don't know whether this is a tourist site. I do not. So on our way, we met at least 20, I didn't count, but at least 15 armored tanks. These are the tanks that the soldiers engage in battle with Boko Haram throughout this location. I'm thinking, so abandoned? The simple act of removing these armored tanks, the government as it presently exists hasn't taken responsibility for the most basic act of reconstruction that these people need. And that's a travesty.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. I almost feel like that's what I'm, so you just see them lying around.
So let's show you. You know when you go to America or all these places and you go to these tourist sites, you know when they move these things there. So I'm like, is the concept? Is this like installation art? Is the concept that as we are moving through these places, we see?
Did you meet with any government officials when you went?
No, I would deliberately. So you know how it is. The Future Project is 10 years old, and in this journey, we've partnered with governments, we've partnered with CTC. We have relationships, so it's easy to meet these people. We didn't want to corrupt this assignment with those relationships. We wanted to be clear. Nobody knew even our staff didn't know that we're going to these places, apart from the 5 of us that were going. So we didn't talk to government. We had no interaction. We didn't inform anybody. We didn't even we didn't even inform our board of trustees. My mother didn't know I was going. We just wanted to go and see for ourselves.
So what does that do now for the bigger picture of the future awards, celebrating 10 years and all of that?
So what we're doing is we're going to these cities and we're setting hubs. We're setting up the Future Awards hubs in this city. Now, instead of replicating, my friend Chude has been saying all year that we don't need to repeat what people have already done. So instead of going to set up new organizations, we are partnering with organizations already working in those communities to ensure that we're able to channel funding and resources and help from people to those communities. So at the Future Awards 2015, we'll be launching something called howcanigetinvolved.com. And this basically, we are linking people with our hubs. So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to solve problems at scale. How can we create a community of people across the world who understand the challenges that still exist in Africa, in different communities in Africa with different complex problems, and can engage those problems directly. So that's the entire purpose of this, to setting up hubs that can solve problems at scale.
How long is this 100-city trip?
It's going to take throughout next year. We've done 15. We've closed down phase 1. Even though I feel like certainly we'll be going back to Mobi, we'll be going back to Yola, we'll be going back, probably, I don't know, to Chip, because the work is so plenty. But we've closed phase 1. We're going to Banjul. Debola is going to Soweto, going to some places in South Africa next week, and then we wrap that up. After the award, we continue the journey. Okay. So it ends on October 2016.
Great stuff. The awards are when again? Just let's start building them up.
What?
When are the awards?
The awards are on the 6th of December in Lagos, Nigeria. 6th of December. As usual, it's going to be, glitz, glamour. The reason why is because it's important, people live their daily lives. It's important to use pop culture to remind people of the Future Awards is really a vehicle to use pop culture to remind people of both the challenges that exist and the inspiring stories that exist to confront those challenges.
We're still going to talk about, of course, the awards in much subsequent programs. But just to update people quickly, the hashtag to follow
Africa Needs You, TFAA10. Africa Needs You, TFAA10. That's the hashtag to capture all the information, all the news. We'll also be sharing some of the information across all our media partners, Bella and Oliver, in the coming week, also on Channels TV. So, but the hashtag is Africa Needs You.
Africa Needs You, hashtag Facebook, Twitter, if you're any of these places, or even Instagram, just follow the hashtag Africa Needs You, and you'll probably see all of the stories that you need. Thank you very much, Chude.
Thank you.
I think we need to call you back maybe for like a 30 minutes